The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
Hi, and welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. Today I'm going to be talking about variable speed pumps. I'm going to go over the three major brands of pumps, Pentair, Hayward, and Jandy. And I'll kind of compare and contrast each one for you so you can make the best choice when you decide to upgrade to variable speed pump. And I'll also touch on the generic variable speed pumps that are on the market today. If you're looking for the best app available to automate your billing, organize your pool route, notify your customers, and track your repairs, go to useaquasuite.com. AquaSuite has been built by the pool industry professionals for the pool industry professionals to give us the tools we need to get the most out of our business. Tell them you heard about it on the Pool Guy Podcast Show for an exclusive offer when you sign up. So I don't work for any manufacturer directly, no one pays me, which is good because then I can give you my unbiased opinion of each particular manufacturer's pumps. And I'll just focus on the big three here in this podcast, which is Pentair, Jandy, and Hayward. And right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, you can't go wrong with either of these manufacturers. And I'll start with Pentair, since everyone's familiar with Pentair, and they're the ones that came out on the market with the first VS pump, the IntelliFlo pump, which is a highly reliable pump. There's nothing wrong about this pump, nothing I can say against it at all. It's just a really great variable speed pump. I believe most of them are now at 3 horsepower. Those are the ones that they're pushing. And of course you're going to throttle this down because you're not going to run your variable speed pump at the full RPM, hardly ever. Maybe when you use your spa or if you have a water feature you want to get going for a party. But in most cases you're not going to be running the variable speed pump at the full 3450 RPMs. And I should go over this real quick before I continue, is that a standard speed pump only runs at one speed, which is 34 RPMs or revolutions per minute. So it's generating a lot of electricity costs. Depending on the horsepower is how you would calculate how much energy cost you're using per hour. So basically, if you have a 1.5 or 2 horsepower standard speed pump, your electricity cost for that hour is like having 15 to 1800 watt light bulbs on in your house. So you can see how a standard speed pump is a big energy drain, and your pool pump is usually your second highest appliance that you're going to be running in the summertime as far as cost. Number one would be your air conditioner, and then number two would be your pool pump. So a single speed pump definitely is an energy hog, and the sooner you replace it, the better off you are as far as your energy costs for your household. So let me go back. I was talking about the Pentair IntelliFlo pump. It was the first one to come out on the market. For that reason, Jandy had made their AquaLink RS backwards compatible or compatible to the IntelliFlo pump. So a lot of installers will connect a Pentair IntelliFlo pump to a Jandy AquaLink automation, and you see this it's very common out there. In fact, in the owner's manual of the Jandy AquaLink, I think on page 17 or 18, there's actually the wiring for the IntelliFlo pump, which is unusual for manufacturers to put in their manual another brand's pump. So you can see how long the Pentair pump's been on the market. They've gone through about 3 or 4 different generations of it. I still have the first generation on my pool route to show you how reliable the Pentair IntelliFlo pump is. They also make a Superflow pump, which is really great because this pump runs what they call a dual voltage. So you can connect it to 230 volts or 115 volts. So if you have a single breaker on your old pump and you're running at 110 volts, you can definitely connect the Pentair Superflow VS pump to it with no problem. I'm not sure how it works. Somehow it throttles the voltage when you connect it, because you wire it the same way as you would wire for 230 volt wiring, and so something inside the pump itself will throttle the voltage down so that you won't have any problem running it. The other VS pumps, the IntelliFlo that I mentioned, the Jandy, and the majority of the Hayward ones are only run at 230 volts. So it requires the double breaker that you're familiar with if you have that kind of voltage for your pump. You can't hook any of those up to your 110 volt old pump connection. The Hayward tristar VS950, the newest model of that one, has a dual voltage also. And so that's a 3 horsepower VS pump. And the dual voltage, when it's hooked up to 110 volts, will throttle the horsepower down to 1.5 horsepower. And the SuperFlow VS by Pentair is a 1.5 horsepower VS pump. So it's actually really good for other installations besides, if you have 220 volts, you can definitely get the Pentair, 230 volts, you can definitely get the Pentair SuperFlow VS. It'll work fine. And it's great for pool sizes, probably up to about, I would say 20, maybe 25,000 gallons is pushing it. So a 20,000 gallon pool with a spa, you can still use a SuperFlow pump. You may want to just go with the IntelliFlo at that point because it's much more powerful and it goes up to 3 horsepower. And I always recommend getting the larger horsepower just for the reason that if you can, you might as well do it. But the SuperFlow VS is a great option for the older pools that don't have the capacity to run the 230 volt type connection. And to rewire your pump is a big project, and it's just better to get the pumps that will work on your voltage. And I hope that made sense to you. The voltage of the variable speed pumps requires the 230 volts or the double breaker, and a lot of people have the older homes where they're running on 110 volts and they have the single 120 volt breaker at their panel. So the SuperFlow pump or the Hayward tristar 950 VS or VS 950 will work with an older pool setup that's running on a lower voltage. And so to recap, Pentair definitely makes great variable speed pumps, the IntelliFlo VS and the SuperFlow VS. And I guess I should note that the IntelliFlo uses the same footprint as the Pentair WhisperFlow, which is really popular in Southern California. So if you have a Pentair WhisperFlow, you can easily swap it out for a Pentair IntelliFlo with doing very minimal replumbing of the system, if any, if necessary, depending on if you have unions connecting your WhisperFlow pump. So it's very easy installation. It'll be the same height, so if you have to cut the pipes, the IntelliFlo will fit right in there. And I recommend doing this for any brand of pump. If you have a Jandy pump right now, it'd be easy to install a Jandy VS pump just because of the height of the pump that's in there now. Same with the Hayward. If you have a Hayward standard speed pump, maybe like a SuperFlow or pump, you definitely want to just use the Hayward VS pump because it'd be easy to put it in there. And this goes also with the automated system. If you have a Jandy automated system, I would definitely recommend putting a Jandy VS pump in there. It just makes sense. It'll communicate really well with the system. You can also use, again, the Pentair IntelliFlo VS pump with an Aqualink. If you have a Pentair EasyTouch or IntelliTouch system, then there's no reason not to go with the IntelliFlo pump. It doesn't make any sense to put in other brands' VS pump there. And if you have a Hayward OmniLogic or Aqualogic, you want to put a Hayward variable speed pump in there. That just, again, makes perfect sense. There's no reason to go with a different manufacturer pump at that point. So to recap that, if you're changing out a specific brand of pump, Pentair to Pentair, Hayward to Hayward, Jandy to Jandy, it makes for a very easy installation. If you have automation, it makes for easy communication with the automated system. It's pretty much a no-brainer, and most installers or pool companies will just swap out like pumps for like pumps just for the ease of installation because, again, 3 major brands of the variable speed pump, Pentair, Hayward, and Jandy, make really good variable speed pumps. So, you're comparing like Mercedes, Lexus, and BMW, and it's just maybe at this point the preference for the brand versus the reliability and how good the pump is, because they're all really good, just like those 3 car manufacturers I mentioned. So let me talk about the Jandy VS pumps, and this is kind of a weird, I don't know if it's weird, but it's a different way of the way they did their pumps, where the controller is separate from the pump. You can, of course, attach the controller to the back of the Flow Pro VS pump if you wanted to, but they're designed so that the controller for the pump is mounted on the wall separate from the pump, which makes some sense because you're not leaning over there and hitting buttons on the back of the pump, which can be difficult depending on how the pump is installed. So Jandy thought it would be logical to have their controller, the JEP-R, or the IQ Pump 01 if you're running a standalone VS pump on a wire, on a communication cable, and then you would mount it in your equipment area, either on the wall or on a fence or on your timer box. And that way you're at eye level with the controller and you're able to input the information and control the pump that way. So I think it's logical for a lot of installations to have the controller separate. I think most people are used to having the controller built into the back of the pump and not having a separate controller. I will say this about Jandy. The IQ Pump 01 is a great interface for the pump. If you're just having a standalone VS pump, the IQ Pump 01 works with your cell phone app. You could be anywhere. You can be, on vacation in Europe, and you can access your pump over the internet and turn it off or on if you needed to do that for whatever reason. So that's a great interface, and I think the IQ Pump 01 interface is only like $100. The JEP-R is very complicated. It's way over-engineered, so they haven't updated that one in years. And you're going to need the manual out there while you're programming it for sure. I reference my quick start guide all the time on that one because I can't remember how to do certain things if I'm not doing it all the time. It's probably a little more complicated than the Pentair IntelliFlo controller, which can be complicated too to program. I think the Pentair SuperFlow VS is probably the easiest one to program and set out of the three major brands. It has the easiest control panel on the back of that pump. So for ease of use, I think the Jandy JEP-R is not as easy as the Pentair system, and definitely not as easy as their own IQ Pump 101, or however that is, IQ Pump 01, something like that. It's a much better control interface for the Jandy VS pumps. I definitely recommend upgrading to that if you have a JEP-R, or if you're getting a new Jandy standalone VS pump installed, go with the IQ Pump 01. As far as reliability, Century Motors makes the motor for the Jandy VS pump. They're a very well-known manufacturer, highly reliable, and you're going to find you have no issues with the Jandy VS pump moving forward. They really improved the quality of that pump. I really like them. They're super quiet. I would say they're probably quieter, slightly quieter than the Pentair IntelliFlo pump when they're running. On low speed especially, I think the Jandy pumps are probably one of the quietest ones next to the Hayward pump. And they're very well made. You can't go wrong with Jandy. And again, if you have a Jandy pump now, getting a Jandy VS pump would be logical to put in there because it'll take up the same footprint as the pump you're removing, basically. Although they can be large because the Jandy pumps, I think, and the Hayward pumps are probably the two of the largest VS pumps on the market. So definitely go online and look at the actual specs of it and make sure that's going to fit in your equipment area, especially if you're in Southern California where everything is squeezed into a small little area in the backyard. Make sure that Jandy VS pump will fit there. The benefit of the Jandy VS pump is the controller is separate. You don't have to worry about any pipes crossing over the top of it. You don't have a control panel sitting on there to mess with. So I would definitely recommend the Jandy VS pump for an Aqualink system. It's perfect for that. And for the IQ Pump 01 interface, it's definitely an excellent interface that use your cell phone with the iAqualink app to control it. I think the biggest leap in the variable speed pumps has been Hayward. They really have improved their variable speed pump line tremendously. In fact, with the Smart Pool Control, it's a new interface that they're offering. You can actually add a lot more devices to it. I did a podcast regarding that with the Hayward rep on that. But basically, the Hayward VS pumps have made a giant leap forward this year. And to prove this, they give you a 3-year warranty on their VS pumps, and they give you a 4-year warranty on the TriStar 950 VS pump, which is the top of the line pump that they have. And this is a standalone warranty without having to have multiple devices purchased through Hayward. So normally a manufacturer would give you a 3-year warranty if you buy a heater, automated system, and a filter or pump together, 3 items or 2 or 3 items, or a salt cell with a pump and a heater. They would extend the warranty to 3 years for a builder of a new pool, or if you buy those 3 items together. But Hayward is giving you a 3-year warranty on their VS pump just on itself, by itself. So definitely they really have a lot of faith in their new pumps and their new drives. and the 950 is a 4-year warranty. And I definitely would recommend getting their VS pump with the smart pool control. It's only a few $100s more, and you can control everything from your lights to your heater to you adding valve actuators to control your pool and spa mode. So they've really made a huge leap in the industry with their pumps with the smart pool control system. And definitely I would look at a Hayward system if you're upgrading and thinking about having a VS pump installed, or if you're having a pool built. Hayward is definitely now something that you want to look at as far as their automation and their VS pumps, where in the past maybe you would just focus on Pentair and Jandy. I think Hayward definitely is a player in the game now with their redesigned VS pumps and with the warranty that they offer on their product. As far as the pump itself, it's a really great pump. The tristar, I have a tristar 950 at what I consider a test pool. It's a pool that I put a lot of products in and run a lot of things in. And this pump is working really well. It's really quiet too on low speed. It's running at 1800 most of the time, and you can't even hear it when you walk back there. So it's a super quiet VS pump. It does have a big footprint. It's a pretty large VS pump compared to the IntelliFlo pump or the SuperFlow pump. I think it's even bigger than the Jandy VS pumps. It's pretty gigantic. I'm not sure why it's so large. They could probably make it smaller, but it's just a big pump. It's got a pretty big wet end or pump basket area also, and it's a super reliable pump because of the 4-year warranty, of course. You gotta just think that the manufacturer wouldn't offer that if they didn't believe that it's going to last 4 years without any problems. Just like if you buy an extended warranty for your car, the car manufacturer pretty much can guarantee you're not going to ever use that because they make it so well. And so that's why they give you that warranty with the Hayward VS pump. So definitely worth looking into getting that Hayward VS pump. Again, all 3 brands are just really good. They're solid. And I would, if you have a Pentair system, why not get the Pentair IntelliFlo? If you have a Jandy system, why not get the Jandy VS pump? And if you have Hayward equipment, why not get the Hayward VS pump? It just makes perfect sense to go with the brand that's back there already. And there's no really need to switch out and swap out one piece of equipment for another brand at this point, because they're all really solid variable speed pumps and really solid equipment. I think maybe for the Hayward, if you wanted to get that in automation, you definitely may want to pull out your equipment area and switch over to Hayward, because the smart pool control can control your lights, your heater, again, valve actuators if you install those, control a booster pump. It can control water feature pumps, everything from that. And it's an app on your phone. They use the OmniLogic app, and you can be anywhere in the world, and you can turn on your water feature or pump or lights. You can put it in pool and spa mode from work, come home, and your spa will be heated up for you. So that's the advantage of the smart pool control with Hayward, and I think they've really taken a leap over Pentair and Jandy with this new system that they came out with. And I'm sure Jandy and Pentair will follow up with something very similar to that in the next year or two to kind of compete with Hayward. So that's about what I have for the manufactured brands, the big manufacturers, Pentair, Hayward, and Jandy. So there are off brands also. There's the Jacuzzi brand that Leslie sells pretty much exclusively, and it's a decent VS pump. It's what I would consider a lower end pump than the Jandy, Pentair, and Hayward. And I guess the good thing about Jacuzzi, if you have Leslie's install it, they offer you, I think, a 3 or 4 year warranty. I have to look that up. But they have a really good, solid warranty on it. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles as the other VS pumps, and it's basically just a standalone variable speed pump. But it is priced competitively, I think even priced lower than a lot of the big 3 manufacturer pumps. And I can't say anything negative about it. It's just a good, solid, off-brand variable speed pump. If you're looking for that, if Leslie's is offering some kind of special on it, you may want to consider it because it's not a bad pump. It's louder than the other brands. The one that I filmed, you can definitely hear the pump on a low speed running at a louder. It's louder than the other ones at a low speed. And then you have companies like Century that actually will have a variable speed pump controller built onto a replaceable motor. So you would just use your existing pump. So no matter what brand of pump you have, I think the only one it won't work on is like the gigantic tristar pumps or the gigantic Jandy jacuzzi pump. But a standard pump like a WhisperFlo or Super 2 or any of the Jandy standard speed pumps, you would just take the motor out and put the Century VS motor on with the controller on the back, and that would convert your existing pool pump into a VS pump without having to do any replumbing, because you're not removing the pump itself, you're just removing the motor from the back. Just like you would replace it with a standard speed motor, you're doing the same thing, but you're putting on a variable speed motor onto your existing pump, if that makes sense. So that's one way to change out your standard speed pump without replumbing it or investing in a new pump. You would just buy the Century motor with the variable speed pump controller on the back. Basically, you're buying a Century variable speed motor with a controller on there and putting it in your standard pump and converting that to a VS pump. And that's one way to do it. I think there's a couple other manufacturers that are starting to make this particular interface, the VS motor with the controller on back, to swap out a standard motor and run your pool as a VS pump. And really nothing wrong with these systems. The menus may not be as intuitive as the Pentair and Hayward and Jandy ones, but they're sufficient. They do the job. And if you don't want to replumb your area, or if you can't replumb it for some reason, if it's too tight of an area, or if replumbing would be a major deal for you, when your standard speed pump goes out, just go ahead and get a Century VS motor and stick it on the back of your pump. There are actually several companies that make these VS motors that hook into your existing pump. So you can go online and you can search for the different ones that are available. And if you want to go that route, you can definitely go that route. It's probably the most affordable way to upgrade your pump to a variable speed pump by going this route. Or you can get a generic variable speed pump. But there's a lot of choices out there. There's really no reason why you shouldn't upgrade to a variable speed pump. At my house, I have two Jandy VS pumps running. I have one from my pool and one from my water feature. So I upgraded that from my old Pentair 1.5 horsepower WhisperFlos, and my electricity bill went down dramatically since I'm running two VS pumps now in the backyard compared to running two standard 1.5 horsepower pumps at my pool. So definitely look into getting a VS pump if it's time to upgrade, or if you're thinking about saving some money, or if the pump burned out, definitely do that. There's no reason to go with the standard speed pump anymore in this day and age. So if you're a homeowner looking for more help, definitely check out my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and I have a lot of helpful pages and links on there. I also have an ebook and a print book available. If you do pool service and you're looking for more help with your business and you need one-on-one help there, I have a coaching program. You can learn more about this at poolguycoaching.com. And for as little as 33 cents a day, you can text me in real time and get an answer for any kind of problem you're having. And plus, there's a lot of benefits and discounts for joining my group, including 10% off your general liability insurance every month. So a lot of great benefits out there for my coaching program if you're in the service industry, and a lot of great information out there for the homeowner on my website and YouTube channel and podcasts and other things. This podcast has been brought to you by InyoPools.com. Inyo Pools has been helping pool owners find the right pool parts since 2001. With over 50,000 pool parts in stock, order online today and have the parts delivered right to your door. And the podcast is also brought to you by the Riptide Pool Vacuum System. The Riptide is a powerful vacuum system that will allow you to get large debris off the bottom of the pool rapidly. To learn more about the Riptide, you can visit their website at www.riptidevac.com. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.